In this comparative study, I will compare Hirozaku Kurita's Shoplifters with Bong Joon-ho's Parasite through the lens of the Marxist film theory to explore their depiction of class hierarchies. While exploring themes of wealth disparity, social inequality, and family, both films reveal the complexities of navigating the societal structures of their respective Japanese and Korean contemporary consumer capitalist cultures. I chose these films in particular because while they are both from the same drama and thriller genre, they offer fresh and unconventional perspectives on the class divide as they subvert stereotypes of the characterization of impoverished individuals. In light of this, it is appropriate to look at the films through a Marxist film lens. Marxism aims to create a classless society regarding the common ownership of the means of production, distribution, and exchange. He argues that society as a whole is more and more splitting up into two great hostile camps, into two classes directly facing each other, the bourgeoisie and proletariat. Therefore, Marxist film theory provides a representation and critique of the power imbalances and class divide based on economics within film or film production, and as such, it would seem an appropriate theory through which to look at my chosen films. Shoplifters, produced in Japan and released in 2018, delves into the story of an alternate family that steals to make ends meet. While revealing the unconventional characteristics of the family, the film provides a nuanced view of marginalized individuals in contemporary Japanese society. The film reflects the economic inequality in the nation at the time, with the second highest poverty rate among the group of 7 as of 2017. Similarly, Parasite, released 1 year later and produced in Korea, tells a story of an impoverished family that slowly infiltrates a wealthy family, pretending to be individuals they are not. The film explores economic inequality and class dynamics, critiquing the capitalist Korean society while also illustrating the widening inequality gap, with the nation dropping to 32nd out of 36 countries in the OECD in 2017. Director Bong is openly criticizing the nation's open market capitalist economy, which has seen a steady increase in foreign direct investments alongside the widening inequality gap. Therefore, I'll explore how these films utilize cinematography and mise-en-scène through a Marxist theoretical perspective to depict the class hierarchy in their respective societies and by implication their cultural context. The cinematography within both films is used to highlight the division between classes, which Marx argues is built off of the oppression of workers. This results in an uneven distribution of wealth throughout society, as seen in the diagram of the bourgeoisie and proletariat. Kurita carefully uses shot sizes, framing, and composition to illustrate how the underclass exists out of mainstream society. With the capitalists getting richer while workers are paid in minimal amounts, Kurita critiques the class divide that has grown to the point of dehumanizing individuals, pushing the underclass out of society. Kurita incorporates bird's-eye view shots, darkness, and limited light sources to highlight how the family is dwarfed by the big city. Shota and Osamu are barely visible in the frame, which creates a sense of insignificance, reflecting the way those in the underclass are often disregarded. Wide shots separate characters from society to reinforce their outsider status, and large amounts of lead room create clear divisions between Shota, Yuri, and the other children. The division between the classes emphasizes the hierarchy, suggesting that education is a privilege rather than a right for the underclass. Obstructed frames reveal the alternate family's exclusion from the mainstream world, indicating society's views of both the family and the underclass. Many internal shots are restricted frames, walls, blocking the compositional space in which the family is shown. This creates compositional stress and limited lead room, producing tight frames that provide a sense of suffocation to be living in these situations. Furthermore, this illustrates the working class's lack of opportunity within society as they are restricted to their class position. There are also shots where the view of the world the family is looking at is skewed. The obstructed views with the framing of the fence in the center and foreground of the shot reveal their isolation from society with a physical barrier between them and others. This highlights the Japanese workforce and their separation from society as an economic underclass. Kurita critiques how the economic development of Japan oppresses the working class with employment insecurity, that many Japanese feel working in jobs with scant chance of advancement. This illustrates the alienation of workers in capitalist society, where people in a word become things with no individuality. In contrast, Bong utilizes contrasting eye levels, lighting, and levels within the framing to exaggerate the explicit class hierarchy in Korean society. The low-angle shots of the Kim family window reinforce their underground living and highlight how they are looked down upon by those outside, reinforcing their lower status in society. By living underground, the Kim family is exposed to the lives of strangers who walk past the alley. Contrastingly, the eye-level shots of the Park family reveal the sheltered reality of the wealthy. With their own yard and sense of privacy, they are physically separated from the people and the societal issues that severely impact the underclass. Additionally, the class divide is illustrated through layering and framing. When Kyu first visits the Park family house, the scene is composed with Kyu in the foreground and the housekeeper and Miss Park in the background. This creates a division and sense of disconnect between the two. Director Bong also utilizes framing with Kyu and the housekeeper on one side of the frame and Miss Park on the right side. They are divided by the line on the glass wall, which highlights the division among classes that follows them around in their daily interactions. The lighting and color also contribute to a difference in the atmosphere between the classes. The dim lighting with green hues in the semi-basement of the Kim's home creates a very dull, deadening feeling, which was created through the sole use of fluorescent lighting. In the Park's house, the natural and warm tone lighting is related to the amount of sunlight received. Due to the wide windows in most parts of the house, the sunlight is shown all day long, and a switch is made to luxury artificial lights when the sun goes down. Therefore, the first time the audience is exposed to the sun itself on screen is when Kyu visits the Park's house for the first time. Due to the economic and housing crisis in Korea, this lack of sunlight and windows is a reality for many individuals in the working class. This illustrates how even things as simple as daylight or windows are a class privilege, highlighting the division between the working and the ruling class. The Marxist approach looks at the divide between each of the levels of class as seen by the pyramid of the capitalist system. However, within each level, there's typically a stronger sense of unity and camaraderie between those of the same class, relating to the concept of class association and disassociation. This reflects the Marxist perspective where the unification of the working class is the only way to achieve the end goal of the dissolution of classes. Both films illustrate this idea through the utilization of mise-en-scène. In Shoplifters, when Yuri is first introduced to the alternate family, she is quickly accepted, which is partially due to the class association, as they are all from the underclass. Through the mise-en-scène, it is apparent that there are no established power dynamics, because in the blocking, Yuri is seated at an even level with the rest of the family, which shows that there is no difference in power. This establishes a unity and class association within their relationship. Furthermore, the recurring yellow, orange, and red colors of the setting create a warm atmosphere, and the soft diffused fill lights help lighten up Nobuyo and Shota's faces. This highlights how welcoming the family is in part due to the class association. However, in terms of the workforce, although it is not evident on the surface level, there is a sense of underlying tension due to insecurity and competition with others. This is highlighted through Nobuyo's case as she works at an industrial laundry. The eye-level shot uses quadrant framing as it is split, which restricts Nobuyo, limiting her lead room. This confinement to half of the frame makes the shot appear to be a tight frame when it is an open one. This harsh line is further emphasized by the contrast between the lightness and darkness on the split sides of the frame. This is similar to the shot of the coworker, where the leading lines are also dividing the frame and constricting her. Despite the class association, there's tension that comes from the sense of insecurity that arises from the capitalist workforce, where a worker is just one factor in the production process that can be ruthlessly let go any minute. This reveals Kurida's critique of Japanese society and its harsh working conditions. Karoshi, which refers to death from overwork, began in the early 20th century. Multiple silk mill workers were forced to work almost 14 hours every day, resulting in employee deaths due to inhumane working conditions. This work culture was also brought up by the desire for Japan to be on a similar level as Western countries, and the collectivist culture which expected workers to choose the company over themselves, giving companies the power to ignore the rights of employees. Meanwhile, in Parasite, there is a sense of division due to differences in social class, exemplifying the exposition of class as an identity in Korea. And a friend, placed on the left plane of the shot, visits the Kim family. The blocking of the family and the stair-like pattern with the sister and mom looking up at the guest suggests that he is someone of a higher status. The lower key lighting also makes the visitor stand out from the family, which relates to his brighter future as he is traveling abroad to study. In contrast, shadows are cast on the Kim family, providing a greater juxtaposition between the two social statuses and the types of lives they can live. Director Bong also makes use of lighting and blocking to express more of the characters' inner thoughts. The intimate scene between the Park couple with dark lighting provides a direct look into their thoughts without any filter. The patriarch, Mr. Park, states that the driver should not cross the line by acting like his fellow peer or getting too involved in his personal life. This scene emphasizes that there is a clear division between the Parks and the Kims due to their class disassociation. This reflects the situation in modern South Korea, where individuals are left behind by the country's dramatic changes. The housing crisis has led to skyrocketed rent prices, taking individuals with the median national income around 13 years to buy an average priced house. Therefore, underground flats called pansia are home to tens of thousands of people. They were used decades ago during the conflict with North Korea and are physical representations of the class divide, which is central to the narrative of Parasite. Marx also comments on family as a structure, specifically how a contemporary nuclear family was designed to support capitalism and the existing social hierarchy. He claims that capitalism's emergence created the nuclear family structure so the bourgeoisie could pass down private property. Therefore, both films viewed through a Marxist lens do not contain nuclear families but rather unconventional families, whether it be an alternate or dysfunctional family. In Shoplifters, despite the social and economic restraint on the children, as represented by the mise-en-scène of the fences trapping them in, they are in a way saved by being part of an alternate family. This is due to Yuri's background in an abusive household. While Yuri is shown engaging with her alternate family, with all individuals in the same plane, when being forced to return to her nuclear family, she is placed in the background, with her mother in the foreground. This reveals the power dynamics and lack of closeness within her relationships with her real family members. This can be seen to reflect Marx's criticism of the nuclear family, where he states that the nuclear family keeps capitalism going, as hierarchy and inequality are seen as something normal. In contrast, Parasite utilizes wide perspective shots to make the whole Kim family fit in the frame that unifies them. This is shown in both scenes in the Parks and Kim's house, suggesting that although they are a dysfunctional family, they still maintain a sense of togetherness. This reflects Marx's critique of nuclear families, where marriage is an extension of business and that the bourgeois family is fraught with tension, oppression, and resentment, with people staying together not for love but for financial reasons. This also exemplifies how there are no strict gender roles in the Kim's dysfunctional family, which is prominent throughout Korean society. All members of the family take a somewhat equal role in their household and only act out the gendered norms once they all begin to work for the Park family. In comparison, for the Park family couple, there is a sense of disconnect between the wife and husband as a result of the patriarchal expectations. In many scenes, the couple does not meet eye lines and are positioned so that Mr. Park is in the foreground and Miss Park is in the background. This suggests that he has power over her, leading the decision-making of the household. This reveals Bong's critique of patriarchal society, which is rooted in the contemporary nuclear family structure. In conclusion, the cinematography and mise-en-scène are utilized to portray the apparent class hierarchy and divide in both films. Through the cinematography, those from the under and working class are separated from society. Meanwhile, the mise-en-scène portrays a class association and disassociation within society. Finally, the representation of family critiques the nuclear family structure. By looking at the film through the Marxist lens, it highlights the critique from both directors surrounding the uneven distribution of wealth throughout society and the emergence of capitalism that created the nuclear family structure. These are exemplified by the capitalist societies of Japan and South Korea with harsh working conditions, housing crises, and income inequality.